Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Are they gonna always be back there the whole time while we talk about them? Oh yeah, damn it. Line? Hello and welcome to a review to S.H.I.E.L.D, the Infinity Saga breakdown, where we roast MCU mission logs with the energy of an angry space raccoon. Today we're assaulting Captain Marvel, a film best described as old rich white men pretending they know what female empowerment is and trying to get paid for that pathetic delusion. Human Resources ordered us to handle this one a certain way, so joining us for the female perspective is Agent Augie Hill.
Hello.
Alright, enough time wasted. There's a bar stool somewhere missing my ass. Let's light this pandering dumpster, shall we?
Well, the opening of this has the best Marvel banner, I think, of all time, because it was a Stan Lee banner.
Cameo.
Passed away just before this movie was released. This was actually his last living cameo, unfortunately. But it was a good one.
We open in some kind of fugue state, and a battle, because why ease into a story when you can swan dive into a foggy blur of teal, orange, and screaming? We're immediately thrown into the deep end, with a barrage of confusion and laser fire that feels less like a coherent narrative, and more like someone woke up with a half-remembered dream and made that the opener.
We were really just kind of thrown into it, weren't we?
Is it just like a normal dream, or is it like Annette Bening Matrix programmed gaslighting that they, constantly take her old memories and twist them to program them against the Skrulls? Or am I giving the movie too much credit here?
I mean, would that be giving it too much credit, or would that just be living up to its name?
What did you get from the opener, Agent Augie Hill?
She's got blue blood. Well, apparently she's got blue blood because she got a transfusion from Jude Law. And that's weird. She's a Kree, right?
We don't know what Kree are yet, but I think it is trying to convince us early on that she's a Kree.
I feel like I just landed in the middle of Black Hawk Down, but with aliens and women.
Carol Veers Danvers, aka Space Karen, trademark, wakes up in a city that looks like it was designed by a committee of colorblind space architects with a boner for Coruscant. It's a futuristic fever dream rendered in PlayStation 2 graphics, a mishmash of neon-drenched corridors and oddly sterile environments. Then there's emotionally flat Stanley, trademark. She's a Kree soldier, with all the charisma of a damp towel, one facial expression for all occasions, a sort of vaguely constipated glare, and a personality best described as Spice Girl power meets GI chip on shoulder.
The character Captain Marvel stems back way, way back, right around the time of Superman. And oddly enough, Superman's why you have Captain Marvel in the Marvel Universe. It just kind of worked out that way because of Shazam. It came out actually about 3 years after Superman came out, and DC Comics didn't like the fact that he started outselling Superman, and he was kind of a Superman analogous character. What happened is they put a cease and desist, and they stopped making Shazam altogether, and then Fawcett Comics went out of business. And DC bought the rights to all of their characters and kind of just shelved them for a while. They shelved them for so long that Marvel bought the trademark. And about 1967, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby created the character of Captain Marvel. Marvel, the first Captain Marvel. The best Captain Marvel. In 67, December of 67. And crazy thing is that the Captain Marvel that we got is not necessarily the Captain Marvel we deserve, because there's been 6 other Captain Marvels that came before Carol Danvers took on the moniker.
Alright, let's hit the character roll call. We got our lead, Captain Marvel, Brie Larson. She's powered by amnesia, a severe case of resting bitch face, and a mysterious near limitless energy that she'll mostly just use to punch things really hard. Very imaginative, this one. Her backstory is as clear as mud, and her motivations are even murkier. Oh, and she has an inhibitor chip on her neck that everyone knows what it's for but her. There's Jan Rog, Jude Law, He's her mentor slash space dad slash creepy yoga coach who keeps telling her to control her emotions. This comes from a guy who radiates the serene calm of a hostage negotiator that was this close to retirement. Jude Law is an amazing actor, but he phones it in hard here, delivering his lines with the gravitas of someone reading the ingredients on a box of cereal. He's a true believer in the Kree cause, though, a skilled warrior, and fiercely protective of Veers. There's the Supreme Intelligence, played by Annette Bening. An AI, yes, a Supreme Intelligence that the movie says is an artificial intelligence that goes full contact and takes the image of the most important person in your life to you, delivering Facebook motivational-esque pronouncements with all the warmth of a dial tone. She was the ruler of the Kree Empire, and is a serious Ice Queen bitch. Bening also plays Mar-Vell, but we'll get into that.
Carol Danvers didn't appear as Captain Marvel until late in her career. She started out as Miss Marvel and kind of got her powers the same way that she does in the movie, but it was different. The OG Captain Marvel was there, and there was a whole transfusion of genetic material after an explosion. It's similar, but different. And we're not going to get into the whole crazy Carol Danvers rape story unless you really want to. It was a big deal. Called out by feminists and everything.
So, back in the movie, Jan Rog conditions her to be a quiet, blank state that does only what he says and talks only when he wants her to. Which is never. All of which would be far more compelling if she had any emotions to suppress. Seriously, I'm going to beat this horse, but she emotes like Ben Stein in an 80s movie, but with none of the impact. It's like watching me at my in-laws. They go on a rescue mission of very vague importance, but they're ambushed by the Skrulls.
There's a long, storied history of the Kree-Skrull War. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Skrulls aren't bad guys. In the comic books, the Skrulls were the OG bad guys. Super Skrull is an original villain of the Fantastic Four. I don't necessarily like or dislike what Marvel did with the Skrulls. I didn't like what they finished with the Skrulls.
The Skrulls are shape-shifting aliens with Aussie accents and the world-weary vibe of divorced dads with high child support and no visitation. In short, they're over basically everything.
Oh. Is that how that goes?
Bro. This is the third time we watched this movie, and two of those times
it's so
you fell
dumb.
asleep.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't even remember the first part of the movie because I'm just like, let's get through it.
I've watched it multiple times, and I can barely remember anything aside from the important details that are comic book related and different.
I remember them flying around in like their scuba suits, but they're not scuba suits. They're like space suits.
They give you a mohawk with a broom on your head.
They give you a mohawk. And I felt like I was watching Scooby-Doo.
There's times where I felt like I was watching Power Rangers.
It was really terrible.
The fight choreography looks like it was filmed through a bottle of NyQuil on a tilt-a-whirl. On shaky cam with incomprehensible editing. Punches miss by a mile. Physics takes a vacation to Tonsberg, and the whole thing is paced like a later Fast and Furious film. Also, they literally have slow-mo trailer shots in the fucking film, all over the place.
Well, I think if they'd spent more money on the directors and writers, because the directors, you don't know their names. I mean, Anna Bodden and Ryan Fleck, have you heard of anything they've done? No, not really, because they were Sundance darlings for a year, and that was it. And then they did Captain Marvel. I personally don't think that Carol Danvers got the character development that she deserved. She was done kind of dirty in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is very one-dimensional aspect of a multifaceted character from the comic books.
And speaking of the action sequence, this mission log is sponsored by...
When the punches fly and you're asking why, zoom in quick on that teal. Blur from fight to fail, your plot derails. Kree Vision will hide it for sure.
Kree Vision, the only camera guaranteed to ruin your fight scene. Are you filming a pivotal alien battle sequence? Want your audience to see absolutely nothing? Vision's patented smear lens technology ensures every punch looks like interpretive dance by a college dropout named Courtney. Vision, because who needs choreography when you've got blur? With Vision, you'll never have to worry about your audience actually being able to follow the action. It's the perfect solution for filmmakers who don't give a fuck.
Punches fly and you're asking why. Zoom in quick on that teal. Blur from fight to fail. Your plot derails. Vision will hide it for sure.
Okay. I personally thought the scenes were choreographed by the same people who did Iron Fist. That's what I was assuming.
The pacing here is breakneck, and not in a good way like Fury Road. They rush through everything, including their lines, taking a get to the next thing before you can think too much about it approach. The dialogue, the Matrix connection to Annette Bening, the terribly forced, non-stop, and often out of straight nowhere exposition. It's really hard to get through. So, Veers is an idiot and just trusts anyone while fighting shapeshifters and gets captured and dunked upside down into a Skrull rave chair that extracts her memories while using a nauseating blend of Premiere Pro and mind games.
Yes, I will say random numbers to you, and they may even be wrong.
Well, the thing is they're not supposed to be able to access long-term memory, but apparently they do get access to, like, short pasts. Even if these are, like, long-term codes, which they shouldn't be, for security purposes, they should change frequently, in which case they would be in his short-term memory. But even if they were in his long-term memory, I'm pretty sure he's thought about the code recently.
It's a bit of a silly code system for people who can access your memories.
The whole sequence is a sensory overload, a chaotic jumble of images and sounds that assaults the viewer's senses and leaves them feeling slightly nauseous and deeply confused. And is our first glimpse at her fractured and altered memory.
Focus. Focus. Show me the coordinates. Why is she upside down?
I think gravity helped force the thoughts out.
If there's more blood rushing to her brain.
I often think to myself, why didn't the Kree fucking Winter Soldier her? I mean, obviously Hydra had that kind of programmed down. Why were they so soft with her memories in the first place? Why set her up to be a hero on Hala? Why not just keep her on ice? Wake her up when you need to? You know, they had the mind wipe technology. They could have done that. They could have.
She escapes and crash lands into the 1990s. Literally. Crashing through a blockbuster video like she's a one-woman demolition derby in rose-colored glasses.
What a coincidence landing in a blockbuster so they could make a joke.
And the needle drops? I feel like a suit shouted, "References!" and started beating the shit out of an old jukebox until it bled 90s hits to death. Endless references on posters, in music, background decor, on clothing, in dialogue. Some of these are fun, I'll admit, but most of these callbacks hit with the subtlety of a lobotomy, as in aggressively inserted. For real, the soundtrack alone is a grab bag of 90s bangers used with all the finesse of a drunken dude bro at a house party. It's an assault on the eardrums and the soul. That said, Stan Lee's cameo? Genuinely fucking touching. He's reading the Mallrats script on the bus, an actual Kevin Smith film he had a role in around the time. It's the one moment of nostalgia that actually feels earned, instead of smothering you with a plaid flannel soaked in Mountain Dew and teen spirit.
Are you a child of the 90s who remembers the music but not the timeline? Introducing Now That's What I Call Cringy Soundtrack Edition, featuring all your favorite empowerment bangers, whether they existed at the time or not. Set in June 1995, but you wouldn't know it, and featuring hits like Come As You Are, 1991, Nailed It, Only Happy When It Rains, September 95, but Carol don't care, she practically wrote the song. Just a Girl, also September of 95, cause Captain Sparkles uses girl power to punch through time. Celebrity Skin, released in 1998 because fuck it. Did these songs exist yet? Do you? Time is Teal, Feelings Are Lasers. Every track was curated by a focus group of mall mannequins and a Spotify intern with a playlist called Grunge Girl Mood. It's not historically accurate, but it's aggressively market tested. Call now and get bonus tracks from Captain America's greatest hits, punching Nazis to Sousa. Goose's spoken word jazz album, Meow the Fuck. And the Billboard smash, Mr. Stark, I Don't Feel So Good. But that's not all. The first 50 callers get a free glow stick and cat scratch bandage while supplies last. Now that's what I call cringy, trademark, because Google? Never met her.
Also, no girl that looks like that and dresses like that, but wearing a 9-inch nails shirt and a fucking government branded hat for some reason, nice covert company, even she calls that out. Nobody who looks like that in 1995 would ever be called anything but either a poser or a cop with that shirt on. Anyway, back with Veers. She vaporizes a cardboard Arnold Schwarzenegger's head and walks off with the swagger of a kid that just did the people's elbow on his mom's body pillow.
She was being sassy, powerful woman, but also the Terminator at the same time. Feminist Terminator.
The Brienator.
The Brienator.
I think they tried to recapture the diegetic feel of Guardians of the Galaxy, but failed.
She also picks up the Right Stuff VHS because she's a test pilot in space. Get it? But never remind your audience of a better film while they're watching yours.
Too true. Too true.
It's just a classic rule in Hollywood.
Look at my very obvious Easter egg. The Right Stuff.
You know, they don't call her Veers in the comic book. The Kree call her Kar-El, you know, because they have to put a hyphen in between everything and 2 L's on the end. Susan Jean Danvers, by the way.
Throwbacks everywhere.
Yeah.
And CGI Fury.
Yeah, in wigs.
In wigs. You sure it was in CGI hair?
That's when Coulson and Nick Fury show up with 2. Count 'em, 2 eyes. A youthful spring in his step, and the raw energy of someone forced to babysit a smug glow stick. Sam Jackson's digitally de-aged face is the most expensive thing in the frame. And that's a problem, because Sam Jackson was making movies in the 90s. And that's not what he looked like.
No, he actually went back in time. He didn't get de-aged. 1975, maybe.
Just hold on, I'm going to get the production assistant to pull up a photo.
No, it's not what he looked like. And his DH face is probably the most expensive thing next to Clark Gregg's face, because that is also a de-aged face you're looking at.
Well, he looks older than he does now.
Than he does now, yeah. First off, that's the power of shaving a bad hairline.
Dyeing your beard.
Coulson's wig is hilarious, by the way. All the wigs were hilarious.
Yes.
Like Steve's in the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But it gets even worse. Nick Fury's legendary cool gets downgraded to assistant cat wrangler. Oh, and these two have less than 0 chemistry. So now we've got Fury. You know his motherflurkin' name. Coulson? Who? Oh, that guy. Still a rookie, bless his heart. And Goose.
The Flurkin.
The literal alien murder cat who steals the damn movie with 0 effort. Low bar, but still. His CGI version is terrible, though. All the CGI is terrible.
And unfortunately it is, but unfortunately that's where all the money went. Goose is based on a real comic book character called Chewie, Carol Danvers' cat, which is technically a Flurkin in the comic book. She's named Chewie after Chewbacca. Just Carol Danvers' cat. Coulson is, his first appearance was Iron Man 2008. He was not in the comic books before that movie. Original Nick Fury, he appeared in Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos in May of 1963. He had a whole career with Captain America. Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos was pretty popular back in the day, as were all war comic books. But by the middle of the 60s, you know, war comic books were getting kind of old. Vietnam was around. Nobody really wanted to hear that shit. So they shifted Nick Fury into a spy. And the reason why he looked the same is he kind of got a super soldier serum of his own called the Immortality Serum, or Infinity Serum is what it was called. And that kept him young forever. He is actually practically immortal. And he has a lot of robots that look just like him called life model decoys, so you never know if you're talking to the real Nick Fury or not. Now that is OG comic book Nick Fury. In the 2000s, 3 of the best comic book writers got together and they made the Marvel Ultimate line, which was a real world take on popular Marvel heroes. And I tell you what, is some of the best writing, hands down, that you'll ever have in Marvel comic books. And that's where you get a Nicholas Fury based on Sam Jackson. Mark Miller, Warren Ellis, and Brian Michael Bendis, the genius behind all of this, decided that he was going to base Nick Fury on Sam Jackson. And he didn't really ask Sam Jackson about it. But when Sam Jackson found out, now mind you, this is in the early 2000s before MCU was even a thing, found out, he's like, that's pretty cool. Any movies, I play Nick Fury. And Brian Michael Bendis wrote that into a comic book. Like it's a meta comic and a comic where Nick Fury says, yeah, if they ever make a movie about me, about one of the baddest motherfuckers, Sam Jackson.
Brie and Fury go on a buddy cop road trip that feels like a rejected Marvel TV pilot sponsored by tonal whiplash. Every line flops like a fish in a microwave. It's The Nice Guys if the leads were replaced by a rock and a 70-year-old that looks 30. One minute it's grungy Mary Sue, the next it's 21 Jump Street. Pick a lane.
Absolutely. And, I don't care who she is, but as a government agent, I'm not taking any body that I don't know to a classified space base.
Carol starts unlocking her memories like she's stuck in an RPG made by Square. There are crash scenes, bar flashbacks, test pilots, Top Gun knockoff slow-mo, and enough empowerment slow pans to qualify as a pure hype video. The story drip feeds revelations with all the tension of buffering YouTube on a Motel 6 Wi-Fi. Clarity? Never met her.
You mean the base that just shut down immediately when one person died? That has a spaceship. It's guarded by 2 Gojo patrol security guards.
She visits Maria Rambeau, her bestie, pilot wingman, and the only person in this movie allowed to have a pulse.
Well, see, I think the implication was that they were more than BFFs. Like, really? You're best friends at every Christmas? Auntie Carol my ass.
She's been gone 6 years. That girl's what, like 10 years old? Yo, were your mom's friends ever that important? In any universe, if your mom kept your friends' childhood photos, do you think you'd have fond memories of looking through the boxes at your mom's friends' childhood photos? I think it's a little creepy, but I also don't have a whole lot of friends, so maybe I'm just misunderstanding this whole friendship thing.
And here's where the film's pacing screeches to a halt, like a DeLorean running out of gas. The tonal whiplash is real in this movie. One moment it's laser cats and space fists, and the next it's a slow, meandering heart-to-heart with melancholy piano music, like we're watching a Hallmark special about grief and friendship directed by fucking Ken Burns. My wife literally fell asleep in the theater during this scene. Full-on snoring. That's how hard this movie hit the brakes. Lashana Lynch gives a performance so human, it feels like she wandered in from a different movie entirely. Probably one where she was 007. What pissed me off here is even though she's starting to remember things, she just still stubbornly refuses to believe it or reconsider her allegiances. Also, why does her old best friend have the childhood family photos of her dead friend? Another one-line explanation. There's a lot of those in this movie. Again, it's good to know, 8 years after Captain America, they're still pointing out their own flaws in the movie, as if that, excuses it, and it doesn't still. Then we get Maria's daughter, Monica Rambeau. Get used to that name. She was at the time the MCU's next-gen hope, and a seed more than an Easter egg. It's here the film pivots. We learn that Carol Danvers' past involves a crashed experimental aircraft, a brilliant scientist named Dr. Wendy Lawson, who is secretly the Kree with the lamest name, Marvell, and a powerful energy core.
See, that's one of the changes that the movie made from the comic book, because in the original, it was Captain Marvel, who jumped in the way of the explosion that gave Carol her powers. And she didn't immediately take the title of Captain Marvel. She was Miss Marvel for a long time.
Marvel naming Captain Marvel's mentor the name of their company, Mar-Vell, and giving Danvers the call sign Avenger, and making that the inspiration for the team name, is putting a very Luthen Riel veneer to Captain Marvel that she doesn't deserve.
Well, that's how all of the Kree names are. Jan Rog is a Kree name. It's got a hyphen in it. It's Jan-Rog. Minerva is Min-Irva. Like, that's how they spell their names in the comic books forever and ever and ever.
I like how they wasted Minerva in this movie.
They wasted her so much they had to give her a different role in a different movie.
The crash flashback reveals Mar-Vell wanted to end the war with the Kree and Skrulls. They were chased out of orbit. Shot down, really. But unlike her altered memories, it wasn't the Skrulls. It was Jude Law. And he was going to shoot Carol for the shit of it when she blasts the magic energy engine. This gave Carol her powers, but also amnesia, which the Kree, specifically Jude Law, exploited. They brought her to Hala, the Kree homeworld, and trained her as a warrior, suppressing and deeply altering her memories while manipulating her into fighting for their cause. Classic gaslighting bullshit. All that talk about, like, him checking on her dreams and if she remembered anything else and forget about the past and control all that, that was really just so she didn't think too much. And then remember it was actually him. So it turns out the Kree were the bad guys. Gasp. I know. And the Skrulls? Not the villains. Just the refugee lizard dads trying to survive and find a decent intergalactic realtor.
Talos is the good guy. He's just protecting his family.
This revelation recontextualizes the entire film. Talos, Ben Mendelsohn, the Skrull leader, isn't a conqueror, but a desperate father trying to find a safe haven for his people, who are being relentlessly hunted by the Kree. The Skrulls aren't the aggressive invaders the Kree propaganda made them out to be. They're victims of Kree expansionism and genocide. Mar-Vell was on Earth to develop a light-speed engine powered by the Tesseract, yes, that one, to help the Skrulls escape. Jan Rog killed Mar-Vell to prevent this. This sets up the third act. Carol, now fully aware of her past and the Kree's lies, chooses to help the Skrulls.
Do you remember when Nick Fury was telling Carol Danvers that his name was Fury, that nobody calls him anything but Fury? How come, from that point forward, everybody fucking calls him Nick? Captain America calls him Nick, Colby Smulders calls him Nick, fucking Robert Redford calls him Nick, everybody calls him Nick. Nobody calls him Fury. It's not true. This movie was the beginning of the end of MCU Nick Fury for me. They made him into a fucking buffoon.
Ben Mendelsohn steals this movie, by the way, with his rubbery charm and line delivery that implies he knows exactly what film he's in and is just having fun, while still being better than most around him. So, let's just say it, Ben Mendelsohn is still criminally underrated. For real, he's the only actor here who manages to be funny, menacing, and weirdly lovable while buried under 10 pounds of green latex and a mountain of prosthetics. This man deserves an Oscar. He plays this like he's one bad space day away from falling down.
Ben Mendelsohn is perfect in this movie. He's a fantastic actor. And he's playing Talos the Untamed. I don't know if you knew this, but an Incredible Hulk villain. Just say it. He's a Skrull, fought the Hulk.
I just want to say, when she was finding out about herself, beyond all the really weird dialogue that I really just don't have time to go through one by one, there's just this moment where it's like, yeah, I've got the black box. They put the CD in. It's an audio file on a CD. They put it in the computer. And then they awkwardly sit there and wait while it loads. Because everybody remembers putting a CD in a CD player and waiting for the song to load, right? And then after that, in the memory, when Jude Law shoots her down, when they hit the water, like, maybe that's super constructed or something. I don't know what materials they had on Earth, but alien blueprints, I guess. So it hit the water and it survives. Then it hits this rock. And somehow it not only doesn't explode into a million pieces, but it just kind of like lands upright perfectly fine. And she's just got a little bit of a bloody nose. Get the fuck out of here. Meanwhile, Fury and Rambo can apparently hold the Tesseract as long as it's an aluminum lunchbox with the fawns on it. How did the Kree get onto Mar-Vell's invisible ship anyway?
Space electrical signatures.
Plot convenience. Broke my heart when they destroyed the pinball machine. Remember that?
I've watched this movie 5 times, even maybe. And I still don't remember half of it. I don't remember most of it. This is like any 11-year-old girl's fantasy dream, being the tough girl who wins all the fights. This is exactly what her dream would be like, this movie. Because none of it makes sense, but it all goes the way that she wants it. And she's got these poses and this shit happens. And she's just really good.
Carol finally realizes the Kree have been holding her back, and she rips off the brain leash, ascending to her final form. Laser Fist Barbie, trademark. From dead-eyed waitress to quippy obliteration machine in the span of 5 plot minutes. It's not a character arc. It's a cheat code.
It's not a character arc, and part of the problem with this movie and what they did to Carol Danvers is they tried to take several aspects of her comic book story, which arced from the 1970s up until the current day, and combine it all into one movie and try to make it a coherent story about who she is. This transformation is Carol's binary transformation, which she has cosmic tear powers. That happened before she even took on the name Captain Marvel. She was actually known as Binary. After a pair of stars, binary star system, anyway. Herald of Galactus. She had that level of power. But that's part of the ruining of Carol Danvers' character overall. The Marvels didn't help bring anything back to her character either. I'm kind of disappointed. We deserve a better Captain Marvel is all I'm saying. And there's hope because Phyla-Vell, the OG Captain Marvel's daughter, is in the MCU now. So maybe we'll get a better Captain Marvel.
Cue the suit makeover. Executed by touching a pad randomly. So easy a kid who's never seen the technology before can do it. And even though this is a built-in function, the Kree later looked disgusted that she did it.
I don't understand why she has a Pip-Boy in the first place that everything responds to, but whatever.
Also, can we talk about how ill-fitting this suit was?
They tried to be comic book accurate, but they really fucked that one up. Aesthetically, they got the colors right and kind of all of the lines and everything, but the fit was not good. The fit was bad. The second movie, she looked a lot better. The suit looked a lot better.
We need some rainbow laser fists. Restraint? Never met her. Subtlety is for losers anyways. How about some dialogue that sounds like it was lifted from a boomer Zoom meeting?
Her quips are flat, and, maybe she was trying to play, was it Sam Waterston's Chuck Yeager in, what was the space?
The Right Stuff.
The Right Stuff, yeah. So somebody compared Captain Marvel in the comic books. To Chuck Yeager. What if she was trying to play Sam Waterston's Chuck Yeager?
Well, she failed.
Well, yeah, she absolutely failed. But, he was, in that movie, he was that kind of quippy and dry kind of guy. And what happened? Because, the movie before this, Skull Island, she was all right. I enjoyed that movie. And again, I blame they didn't spend enough money on the directors.
Carol nukes an entire Kree fleet solo while smirking like a smug toaster. She literally, at one point, is going up against the machine supposed to be the climactic battle, and she belly flops through one of them saying woohoo. It is so devoid of tension. Why did Ronan send one death missile 30 seconds before the others? And sent all the others at the same time?
You always have to send a testing missile just to see if it's working. And once you know it's working, then you know you can just do them all.
I think it was so she could catch it and turn it around.
Maybe it was so she could catch it and turn it around.
After she effortlessly destroys the Kree fleet, she flies up in front of Ronan and does what my daughter does when she's angry at me. Just punches her palm.
Fist to palm smash. Tough girl fantasy, man. Every 11-year-old girl is jizzing their pants right now watching this movie. They're like, I want to be like her, yeah!
Boys jizz, girls sploosh.
Splooshing their panties, yeah. I can be a jizzer if I want to be a jizzer, alright?
Equal opportunity jizzers. That's progressive. Take notes, Disney. And just to make sure we understood how irreverent and empowered this moment was, they crank up No Doubt's Just a Girl. Because nothing says epic final battle like mid-90s mall feminism blasted over laser punches. It's so on the nose, it needs rhinoplasty. The tonal mismatch is wild. It's like watching a tank fight choreographed by the editor of 17 magazine on a sugar rush. For real, the tonal pivots in this movie are absurd. The movie jumps from heartfelt refugee story family drama to Dragon Ball Z fanfic levels of overpowered laser spam in under 2 minutes. It's emotional whiplash with a concussion bonus. It's less heroic finale and more galactic mood board designed by a committee with conflicting notes. Carol, at all times, looks like a PlayStation 3 character here. It's terrible. They didn't even try to add texture to her face.
Oh, yeah, no. This was, in my opinion, such a waste of money. I'm not going to keep harping on how much this movie could have been better with better writing and direction, because obviously we know where the money in the movie went into all of this de-aging and CGI and special effects. And yeah, it's just stuff I don't think they needed.
Let's talk about Goose.
Okay, what do you want to talk about Goose?
So, Goose is a flirkin, a Lovecraftian horror wrapped in fur, sass, and unspeakable rage that may or may not be a Top Gun reference.
No, Goose is absolutely a Top Gun reference because the movie was set in the time that Top Gun would have been coming out, and the directors were like, oh, we should probably give it a Top Gun name instead of a Star Wars name because we don't want the correlation, and that's why his name is Goose and not Chewie.
He devours his enemies, swallows glowing death cubes, and scratches Fury's eye out because Disney needed something, and this was the era of expectation subversion. Thanks, Disney. I hate it. Still, that cat has more emotional range than Carol. And speaking of cats,
just change your mood. If you're a king, he's a magnet from beyond the stars. Flirt and care is there no matter how bizarre.
Tentacles in your cat? Pocket dimensions swallowing your coworkers? Don't worry. Flirk and Care covers spontaneous organ removals, tesseract ingestion, and ocular trauma with zero deductible. Flirk and Care, because space cats don't come with a warning label. And your homeowner's insurance definitely doesn't cover this. Flirk and Care, galactic pet insurance for questionable life forms.
Protecting one life for 9.
So, Flurkins have a pocket dimension inside of them. That's how they're able to just swallow everything. And they lay eggs.
they're literally Lovecraftian horror monsters with Mary Poppins bags for tummies.
Yeah, and they can devour at what they want to. So, in the comic books, OG Nick Fury, you know how he loses his eye? It was a World War II battle, but that motherfucker catches a grenade and throws it back, but it explodes a little too close to his face, and that's how he loses his eye.
Right.
MCU Nick Fury, emasculated.
So yeah, Fury loses his eye to a fucking space cat, and then lies about it. And that's canon now. That's the MCU.
That's the MCU canon. He lies about it for the rest of the canon. Nobody knows how Fury lost his eye.
And this should have been a red flag. The mystique of Sam Jackson's Nick Fury suffers its first crack here, but it's only a portent of future mishandlings by Disney. This man commands respect from superpowered asshats. There's supposed to be something about him. Something, honestly, we never should be told about, as, again, we will further learn. Which we see Talos' young daughter in, but thankfully that's not Infinity Saga.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yon-Rogg tries to bait Carol into a one-on-one fight, and she just blasts him into next week. I have nothing to prove to you, she says. Which would be cool if she had done literally anything to earn that line. Instead, it's the cinematic equivalent of yelling, I'm fine, while walking away from a burning couch and giving everyone the finger.
The fight scene at the start of the movie earned that line.
Did it?
I don't know.
No, I'm serious. Every single male chauvinism stereotype and female empowerment cliche was on full and cringeworthy display the entire film. From endless flashbacks of everyone telling her she can't do things because she's a girl, the ones that use penis references to ostracize her from her male-dominated career, the ones that ask her to smile. Eventually, you'd rather just scrape your nails on a chalkboard. There's literally a montage of her standing, and it feels like a PSA.
Oh, are you talking about the every girl stands up moment? Carol Danvers at different various ages and careers in her life? Yeah. Yeah, that struck me as...
If you don't stand with your daughters, who will? Stand today for your daughter's future.
I get what they were trying to do, but Jesus, there's so many better ways to do it that it's not so... I don't know.
It reminds me of like one of those commercials you got for the HPV vaccine in like 2010.
Something like that, yeah. It felt like that. That's what it felt like. And that's a far miss of what it should have been.
Fahey wanted her to lead Phase 4. They glazed this girl and character hard on drop as the new Marvel savior. Audiences said hard pass. Even Ant-Man's got more screen time now and he spends half his movies inside someone's colon. Or maybe that was a meme. The point is, don't be distracted by the glow. Higher, further, faster, whatever. Let's be real. Carol Danvers is the MCU's main character who forgot to have a side quest, a personality, or even a half-decent trauma arc. And here's the kicker. I know Brie Larson can act. We've seen it. She's a damn Oscar winner. But this was direction by checklist, characterization via boardroom, where the studio decided that stoic and badass meant emotionally inaccessible robot with a smirk. Instead of a nuanced, layered performance, we got a lead who felt like she was instructed to deliver every line as if she were reading the Apple Terms of Service to her most hated ex-boyfriend. She was supposed to be powerful and commanding, but instead came off stilted and wooden, the product of studio panic and confused direction. The movie bends over backwards to convince us she's evolving, but she starts strong and ends stronger, without facing any real personal stakes or failure. There's no journey here, just a steady march to a glowy finish line, punctuated by the occasional laser blast and a smirk that suggests she's just won some intergalactic staring contest. Trivial bullshit, punctuated by the occasional laser blast and smug smirk of superiority, which is also half-assed. I swear the only part on her face that moves is her eyebrows and they only just go down like half an inch. Watching Carol power up is like watching someone switch to God mode in a video game. Then they ask you to clap and call it empowerment while they beat the shit out of everyone and everything with zero effort. It's fucking boring. Now tell Marvel how impressed you are. Captain Marvel is less a story and more a checklist with visual effects. Desperately, pathetically trying to convince you it's empowering, while simultaneously stripping its protagonist of any semblance of vulnerability or relatable human emotion. Brie Larson delivers a performance so restrained it's practically sleepwalking. The script reads like it was written by a lazy committee with a grudge against my brain cells, and the whole damn thing acts like it's terrified of letting its main character be anything other than a walking, talking, laser-fisted plot device. What could have actually been Marvel's ace pilot became a punchline, a glow stick with a serious charisma deficit. On the technical side, the cinematography is about as exciting as watching paint dry. Lots of sterile, unreal, and 2 darkly lit shots. The directing by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck is batshit, rushing through everything, telling everything quickly, and showing nothing, all lacking any real visual flair or distinctive style. It feels like it was made for Disney Plus instead of theaters. The set design? Meh. The Kree environments are generic, while the 90s Earth locations offer some nostalgic charm, but often feel more like a collection of pop culture references than fully realized spaces, especially since most Earth scenes are just in a desert or on a farm. As for the depth of writing, well, the shallowness of the character arcs and the reliance on simplistic plot devices speaks for itself. It's about as deep as a puddle after a spitting contest. Plot cohesion? Never met her. No, for real. Think about the train scene where she seemingly beats an old woman randomly in front of people. It's funny because it's so out of place from reality, but then, even after seeing Super Granny do wire fu, the crowd still pinned Princess Space Sass. The film constantly disconnects me, and the film relies heavily on CGI, severely contributing to the artificial feel. This movie feels like it goes from real scene to cartoon in one Thanos snap. Captain Marvel's powers, in particular, are brought to life through extensive visual effects, which, while visually impressive, lack a tangible sense of weight or impact. It tends to be a problem with swirly light powers. It's also worth noting that Captain Marvel soared past the $1 billion mark at the box office, a feat certainly bolstered by its release coming in the wake of Avengers Infinity War and its now iconic snap, and the immense hype leading up to Avengers Endgame. It was perfectly positioned to capitalize on the heightened anticipation and emotional investment of a global audience eager to see how the story would continue. But we all know how that ended up. Thanks to Brie Larson's now infamous press tour, which included alienating male fans, playing Fuck Around and Find Out with Thor, Petty Edition, trademark, and generating enough awkward tension with Hemsworth to start a bar fight, any chemistry they might have had in future projects was deader than Coulson's first arc. Despite the film's success, the sequel would famously bomb.
Maybe the tie-in was Brie Larson's first gig at Marvel's, where she comes in with the pager. She was on a green screen. She didn't even know who the fuck she was talking to. So that confused look that she has at the post-credit scene, that's what she carried with her into the whole movie. This movie was a disservice to the character of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Overall, kind of a disservice to the whole Captain Marvel moniker. I think it was a hurry up and get a movie out for a major character that's going to be in the next movie that we didn't really have time to introduce throughout our other 20 fucking movies. And I think that was the major problem with this movie. It felt rushed because I'm pretty sure the movie was rushed. We need to introduce Carol Danvers. See, if they didn't do that, if they had, give us a few snippets early on, that would have been perfect. That'd have been fine. Don't introduce her. Give her her own movie after Endgame, which I would have done. You didn't need a whole Captain Marvel movie in between, which, like I said, it was too rushed. They learned the wrong lesson from that later on, putting out what they put out for Disney streaming services. When I heard about the announcement, I was like, oh wow, they're going to do a Carol Danvers movie? I mean, this is probably going to be pretty great. It's like, I like Captain Marvel as a character. I looked forward to it, and then I got what I got, and that was the beginning of Marvel burning me, and me noticing being burnt. Like, I don't like that. And I thought Thor the Dark World was the worst thing they'd ever make. And I was wrong.
Let's talk about the good. Lashana Lynch deserved her own movie, nay, her own cinematic universe. Maybe as a female 00? Amazon?
She's probably coming back for Secret Wars, by the way.
Ben Mendelsohn, Space Dad MVP, delivering deadpan dad jokes and surprisingly tender moments with equal parts badass soldier attitude. Goose the Flurkin, pure chaos energy. For me, that's enough. 90s needle drops, like even if they're stapled on with no context and used like a blunt instrument. I'm at the age where it's like a hack. The Easter eggs were fun when clever. And there were like 3 jokes that made me laugh, though they often kept them going too long and made them unfunny again. Most of the jokes were honestly just really fucking stupid. And a lot of times they would forget that they even said things earlier in the movie. It was just bad. Speaking of bad, let's talk about the bad. Making Nick Fury the comic relief sidekick and chipping away at his mystique. They took one of the coolest, most mysterious characters in the MCU and turned him into Carol's punchline delivering chauffeur with a cat allergy. He used to command respect. Now he's just hoping the Flerken doesn't yick on him. Brie Larson reads every line like she's doing jury duty and desperately wants to be excused.
The director is like, act like a man.
The humor lands like a fortune cookie read during a tax audit. Awkward, forced, and leaving you wondering who thought it was a good idea in the first place. Carol's arc is flatter than a Waffle House pancake on Tuesday morning. Inhibitor chip that she somehow never questioned, or took off, even once, out of curiosity or comfort. You telling me that thing never itched or was lumpy to lay on?
It was a stupid plot device that shouldn't have been in place in the first place. What, she didn't shower? Is it waterproof?
Girl power via montage, because apparently empowerment is best conveyed through a series of music video clips. Substance? Never met her. Wasting Jude Law on space gaslighting. Seriously, what a waste of a talented actor. He deserved better than Space General with the tactics of an aggro-narcissistic boyfriend.
Well, to be fair, Jan Rog, in the comic books, the original, he appeared the same issue that the original Captain Marvel appeared, and his whole motivation for hating Captain Marvel was jealousy over a girl. And it became Captain Marvel's greatest villain.
Terrible CGI, plot, acting, everything. And physics that make me want to apologize to Captain America. And for the star rating, we have +5 stars for Goose's eldritch horror energy, +3 stars for 90s nostalgia and Nirvana needle drops, +2 stars for Maria being the mom friend we deserve, even if their girlfriend banter was as bad as Carol's banter with Fury, and +1 star for Talos' dripping charm, non-stop. -3 stars for Brie Larson's facial paralysis. What, you have too much Botox? -3 stars for Fury's eyeball disgrace. -2 stars for plot black holes. -2 stars for girl power by marketing team. And -2 stars for wasting Jude Law, for a final score of -1 Flerkens. It was the MCU's most expensive personality test, and it turns out the main character is a robot.
The rankings are all 2. Movie, comic book accuracy, and costuming, it's a 2. They got some things right. CGI, special effects, again, everything's going to be a 2, but this is bottom of the barrel. They spent a lot of money, and it wasn't that good. Post-credit scene sets up how Fury got his hands on the Tesseract in between Captain America and Iron Man. This kind of ties that all together. The villain, Jan Rog, it was one of the first villains I was noticing that wasn't a clone of the hero, so not the greatest of villain. The hero did not have an arc, so 2. The sidekick, Nick Fury was the sidekick. The accomplice with the Supreme Intelligence or the rest of the team. Lashana Lynch is the girlfriend, probably. Set and locations, you were right, they were boring. I mean, on Earth, they were on the farm or in a house. Nothing was good in here except for the music. The music was all right, but I feel like they fell flat trying to copy Guardians. And the best thing about this movie was the Stan Lee cameo.
This is a film that mistakes empowerment for a lack of personality and action for genuine plot. Captain Marvel is a cinematic black hole, sucking in talent and budget, only to spit out a 2-hour-long shrug. Would I recommend it? Only if your remote is broken, you're duct taped to your chair, and your only other option is listening to a podcast about wallpaper glue. This movie is so mind-numbingly hollow. It could be used to torture Skrulls into confessing to crimes they didn't commit. Paint drying would be a fucking thrill ride by comparison, with a plot, better pacing, and probably a more compelling lead. Would I change anything? Absolutely. Start over. Set fire to the script, recast the lead, deep six the directors, replace the soundtrack with silence, and maybe stop confusing glow with growth. Also, someone please put teal and orange on a government watch list.
I thought the movie was cheesy, had terrible lines, terrible acting, terrible CGI. It was trying to be for the woman. Would I recommend this movie? If you want to be put to sleep, absolutely. Would I change anything? Probably. I'm thinking of all the things I would change, and it's probably the whole movie. Did a 12-year-old girl make this? Let's just start the movie over again. But everybody can be different, including the people making the movie. And let's not try and be spoon-feedy people here, okay? We're a little bit smarter than that.
I would not recommend this film unless you're completely confused as to who the superpowered person who showed up in Endgame was to help kind of even the battle. If that didn't confuse you, you don't need to watch this movie. And that's straight up an honest assessment. You probably don't need to watch this movie at all. What would I change? Pretty much everything. Like you said, scrap this movie and start over. There's so much more story to Captain Marvel than just what we got here. I mean, her first movie didn't necessarily even have to be an origin movie. They could have revisited that at any time. It's bad. I would not recommend it. I would change a whole lot of things.
You're not reporting anything you said here today, are you? Join us next time when we pay reverence to the film that started all of this. Toby's Spider-Man. No, Iron Man. I'm Agent Sedgwick.
I'm Agent Augie Hill.
Couldn't get a better take if I tried.
Shut up.
Brilliant. I love it.
Agent Augie Hill out. And I will report you to HR.
I'm Special Agent Carter. Agents out.
90s haze, no space, no sweat, she's glowing bright, that's all we get. Plots MIA, lines fall flat, all flex, no soul, time for a nap. Up next, what's next? Up next, high spec. Up next, no sweat. Up next, space cadet. Crash lands hard with no pass, no depth. Just snark, stiff stares and a budget flex. No flaws, no arc, no climb, no falling. Just glow strikes, poses, Mary still crawling. Talks like a banger, boots in every single scene. Bitch delivers her lines like she's a lifeless machine. Oh, I'm not here to impress you, bro. Congrats, you nailed it, zero fucking flow. Up next, all glow. Up next, no show. Up next, hell no. Up next, can we go? Up next, what's next? Up next, high spec. Up next, no sweat. Up next, space cadet. Nick Fury was a legend, the crop of the cream. The mouse demoted his ass down to comic relief. Lost his eye to a cat, for real, bro, that's the lore. God damn it, Disney, you owe us so much more. Scrolls flipping signs like a script roulette. Jude Law's just a gaslighter in a cool vest. Carol says, this ain't for corny ass men. Cool, you still took their cash in the end. Higher, further, faster, whatever. Them power catchphrase dressed up as clever. No heart, no heat, just a corporate tether. The Teflon queen of meth forever. She's powerful, sure, but God forbid she ever emotes like a human bitch. She flexes, she flies, she scowls on cue and acts like charisma's beneath her too. Higher, further, faster, I am up next. No soul, up next. Black hole, up next. Let go, up next. Roll close. Whatever. Up next, all glow. Up next, no show. Up next, hell no. Up next, can we go? Up next, need a Billy, but don't get it twisted. Hyperinflation is real when the end game's enlisted. Said, don't care what middle-aged men think. Then rode that press tour straight to the brink. She fought with the nerds and even stepped up the Thor. Now she doesn't even know if she'll do this anymore. They crowned her queen before she even on the throne. Then clipped her wings and made her share the sequel goal. Brie leaves one flop, that's the fate she drew. Cause wooden is a vibe no glow can undo. So here's to the queen of all the box check stats. Marvel's $1 billion hoe flat on a cinematic back. Higher, further, faster, whatever.
Carol appears post-snap. like an overhyped DLC character who showed up late to the party. She says, "Where's Fury?" And that's it.
It's a stupid post-credit scene, and it was Carol Danvers' first. It was Brie Larson's first scene in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that's why she looks confused now, and that's why she's confused throughout the rest of the movie. I don't think she acted with half the cast.
The tonal whiplash of this movie is so violent. We go from space lasers and half-baked empowerment slogans to grim-faced universal apocalyptic realness and bad wigs. It's like cutting from a cat video to a war documentary. It's not a scene. It's an apology note from a better movie. It's Bob Iger whispering in your ear, "Shh, just wait till Endgame, baby. I promise I'll be better." An abusive husband begging you to forget the last 2 hours and forgive him, because the next time will be better. And at least this one time, he was right.